How's it going, Laser Bruce? I'm Bobby Sixkilla, and welcome back to Root Current. This may be the last episode, I'm not too sure, but things are definitely coming to a head here. As Natsuhiko slash Watase is about to enter Area N for what is about to be the finale. I suppose there's more to go after that when they have to cut through the pipe and stuff, but who knows? Let's find out. There's still a lot of questions I have that I want answered. So hopefully some more of that is going to come to light this time. But just a while later, just do it like Tachibana and Mortabe did. God damn it. God damn it! Though Natsuhiko's consciousness was supposedly gone for good, he heard a voice. Please don't die. And in his nearly faded consciousness, he rapidly began to regain sight. He had no idea what was going on. Just that he was face to face with himself. I did it! With a sigh of relief, Watase held his hand up to Natsuhiko's mouth. He could feel faint breathing on his palm. I'm breathing? Natsuhiko blanked out for a few seconds, but the truth of the situation finally hit him. You mean my body's still alive? But how? How could I have survived with all those bullet wounds? And more importantly, wasn't a nuclear reactor supposed to have melted down here? So shouldn't that have killed me long ago? Then why... What the hell's going on? Am I dreaming? But the sensation he felt through Watase's body were no doubt reality. The stench of blood drifting in the air, the numbness of his skin, the intense headache. He could feel his entire body convulsing. It's not a dream? Then what's going on with me now? Did Watase save me from the brink of death with CPR? Natsuhiko's body was alive, and yet his consciousness was still inside Watase. Which, in Natsuhiko's mind, could only mean one thing. I see, so maybe... At the climax of their fight, Natsuhiko destroyed Watase's memory, but the Phantom Yuri said this back then. The apex of a communicator's journey, the ability beyond empathy, the power to connect minds rather than just brains. Indeed, the third ability of BC was not memory destruction, it was the power to connect minds. When Natsuhiko destroyed Watase's memories, their minds were connected. So basically, it's not that my BC's energy is lingering inside Watase, it's that our minds have been connected through BC this entire time. Regardless of whether Watase was awake or knocked out. That would explain why Natsuhiko was able to interfere with Watase's mind and memory, but the question still remained as how he was still alive. If this really were a nuclear reactor area, then I definitely would have died ages ago, which means there wasn't a nuclear reactor here. But in that case, what the hell is this place? Just then after he'd finished resuscitating Natsuhiko, Watase discovered something. This is... Watase picked up a pistol that was lying next to Natsuhiko. Right as Watase felt its heft. Oh, yep. You damn monster. I have to get away as far as possible. That's not good. Watase's memory of back then started coming back. What the hell was that? Bewildered by the flashback, Watase stared at Natsuhiko with gaping eyes. Oh crap. But immediately afterwards, Watase himself denied the memories that were trying to come back. No way, there's no way that's true. Anyway, I gotta get him to a safe place. Just as Watase thought this, he saw Sally rushing towards him, axe in hand. Watase and Sally's hectic scuffle began. Sally attacked Watase with the axe. Watase took a swift kick to the temple. But he found an opening and tackled Sally with the force of a bullet. And straddled her. But that supposedly dominant position didn't last long. Sully struck Watase in the eyes, temporarily blinding him. Sully slipped her body out from under him. Crap, I gotta put some distance between us. Watase blindly reached out in the darkness and grabbed Sully by the clothes. Watase felt Sully lose her balance. I have to defeat her right here and now. Watase's mind filled with a sense of violence and looming danger. Natsuhiko quickly shouted at him, "Stop, don't hurt her!" His voice appeared to get through. Watase avoided hitting Sully and instead slipped around behind her. He applied pressure to Sully's neck, mindful of how much strength to use. Watase's sight soon came back. Natsuhiko could tell that Sully was passed out, cold in Watase's grip. The sight of her chest slowly rising and falling made it apparent that her life was not in danger. Thank goodness. Watase carried Natsuhiko and Sully as the boy sighed to himself. As Watase left Area N, he found Kazami standing there. The two of them had carried Natsuhiko and Sally on over to the infirmary immediately. Once they finally arrived at the infirmary, Watase and Kazami began Natsuhiko's blood transfusion. How's his condition? Think he can pull through? His respiration and pulse are extremely feeble, but his vital signs are just barely stable. I can't make out any guesses as to how it'll turn out in the end, but I think he'll just pull through if we keep the transfusion going. Though Natsuhiko was relieved to hear Kazami's words, he couldn't help but think, still, how did I survive for so long in that state? Now that it had been established that there was no nuclear reactor in Area N, he understood that his body had not been affected by radiation. But Natsuhiko had been inflicted with such serious wounds that put him at an obvious risk for death from blood loss. Could it possibly have something to do with how I've been connected with Watase through BC this entire time? He had no other hunches, but he did remember what he'd learned in class a few days ago. Now that I think about it, when we practiced telepathy in the BC room, didn't Professor Tsubakiyama say, the most important thing for BC without a doubt is concentration? Unlike the other 5 senses, you need concentration that transcends common sense if you want to draw out the 6th sense. It's said that the concentration necessary for BC use is so extreme that it causes the 5 senses to dampen in turn. In certain cases, even vital signs like body temperature and pulse can drop. So our pulse dropped, stopping us from bleeding out so quickly. Still, you shouldn't have lived hours and hours and hours and hours, but whatever. Once you reach that state of concentration, a new power will awaken within your brain, opening the door to the world of BC. I see, I get it now. When using BC, depending on the situation, the 5 senses can dampen, and vital signs like breathing and pulse can decrease. All the answers were there. Ever since I lost consciousness back then, I've been connected to Watase through BC, so in other words, my brain's been concentrating this entire time for the continuous use of BC. And as a result, my body's respiration and pulse have decreased dramatically. When Natsuhiko had used long-distance telepathy on Mashido, his face had gone pale. The use of BC's third ability likely required even more extreme concentration from the brain, enough to cause the body to go into hibernation. I see, so that's how my body was able to minimize blood loss despite being shot by Watase so many times. By the time Natsuhiko finally reached that conclusion, a sound rang out from behind Watase. Watase turned around and found Ukita standing in the doorway to the infirmary. Well, well, if it isn't Captain Kasasagi and Lieutenant Tachibana. I thought I heard noises coming from here. What might you two be up to? A series of events beyond Natsuhiko's imagination unfurled. Go ahead and laugh, I know it's fragile justice, but it's my choice. If killing you means I'll put an end to all of this, then I'll do what I must. Even if it means staining my hands in sin for the first and last time in my life. Mr. Ukita's resorting to coercive tactics to put the blame on Watase. Your mission ends here. Die, traitor. Captain, look out! But I will ensure that you get your just desserts, mark my words. Mr. Ukita? If he's calling Watase a traitor, does that mean Mr. Ukita was really the sleeper agent after all? But why? I wanted to trust him. I didn't want to trust him, he's a dick. Anyway, I need to get out of here as quickly as possible. Now that the old man knows where we're here, this place is no longer safe. And Teacher's in trouble too. Professor Tsubakiyama's gone. Who the hell did this? How'd they even break the door in the first place? What the hell happened here? Did someone take Professor Tsubakiyama away? I have a bad feeling about this. Let's get out of here. We need to find a safe place. Please, please be safe, Professor. As Watase and Kazami ran aimlessly, they reached the connecting passageway to Area 1. And waiting for them there was... Where the hell is that bastard? I see. So that really was it all along. Then I have no choice. I gotta do it or I can't protect anyone. I gotta kill that son of a bitch. Why? Why is Jun bleeding from the head? And what's she doing with that engine cutter? As they ran away from Jun, Kazami muttered in blank amazement. Why did things turn out this way? We're being chased by our own squad mate and people we swore to rescue, and we have no place to run. Those words gave Natsuhiko some food for thought. That's strange. Mr. Ukita was like that too, but I'd never expected Jun to act that way, no matter how suspicious Watase acted. What's with those two? It's likely the same as Watase was back then. What's going on here? How the hell can we survive in this mess? But then Watase spoke. Don't give up. We're still alive and there's still people we need to save. So fight on until the bitter end. If you want to give up, you can do that later. Those words encouraged Natsuhiko's consciousness. Soon enough, they headed to the engine room in search of their last sliver of hope, where they found WX Particle Amplifier Operation Manual. This is it. WX Particle Amplifier Operation Manual. This document is an instruction manual for the WX particle amplifier. Due to the fact that there is a great danger involved in its operation, please read the manual carefully before you proceed. Furthermore, the properties of the WX particles have extremely harmful effects to the body. Examples of this include dysthesia, brain dysfunctions, genetic abnormalities, etc. These symptoms are dependent on the level of particle energy as listed below. Without AD, 0 to 2000 microsieverts, no effects. 2000 to 4000 microsieverts, dysthesia, nausea, headaches, genetic abnormalities. 4000 to 8000 microsieverts, brain dysfunctions, faint consciousness. 8000 microsieverts and up, unconsciousness. The intensity and probability of displaying the aforementioned symptoms vary depending on the energy levels. Yeah, we've already read this before, it's fine. When using the amplifier, normally the particle energy levels should not exceed 2000. Does WX particle amplifier refer to that machine in area N? Presumably. And does that mean it's not radiation spreading through Labo, but these WX particles instead? Various doubts welled up within Natsuhiko's consciousness, but Watase was focused on finding something else. I didn't see anything in here about coolant. This is it. So this is really our only way out. Stop the coolant device, go through the drainage pipe, and contact the outside, and lead a rescue team back in. That was the plan Watase had thought of to save everyone. He then gathered all the necessary tools and swam in the pipe by himself to seek help. However... Captain? You're back already? I'm sorry. There was an obstruction in the pipe. I couldn't even make it to Lake Rokume. This plan resulted in failure. Damn it. Just when I finally thought we had a glimmer of hope. Let's try starting all over from the beginning. We'll think of a way to open the bulkhead by Area 2's emergency staircase. No sooner had they reached the bulkhead than did all of Labo switch from main to emergency power, and at that moment, Sully woke up and bared her fangs at Kazami. Release Natsuhiko or else I'll choke this woman to death. Salia? Stop it, Salia. We're just trying to save you guys, why can't you understand that? Watase frantically tried to talk some sense into the bloodthirsty Salia, but she just gave him a pointed glare. I thought I told you to stop telling such transparent lies. You think you could trick me after you shot Natsuhiko? What did you say? You didn't know, woman? You're lying, right? The captain would never do anything like that, right? Watase gasped at Kazami's words, and at that moment, the memories of back then flickered inside Watase's head once more. Crap, at this rate, Watase might regain his memory. What do I do? Go back to my body and try to persuade Salia? Wait, but would it be safe to suddenly return to my body when it's barely recovered from the brink of death? If my body's condition suddenly worsens once it gets out of hibernation... As Natsuhiko hesitated, Salia addressed Kazami. Take a close look at what's in that man's pocket. She was of course referring to the gun that Watase picked up in Area N. That gun probably belonged to this man to begin with. He used it to shoot Natsuhiko. Right when Salia said that, Kazami violently shook her off. I said stop. Sully's body flew through the air. All Natsuhiko could do was watch the whole thing from beginning to end. Sully proceeded to tumble down the staircase. She finally stopped at the landing of the stairs at B1. She wasn't budging an inch. Salia? Watase frantically ran over to Salia and checked her condition. Her life wasn't in danger, but she appeared to be completely knocked out. Damn it, if only I hadn't hesitated to go back to my body. As Natsuhiko wallowed in regret for not trying to persuade Salia sooner, Kazami descended the steps with unsteady feet. Captain, is she? It's okay, she just passed out. I see. Kazami's body shook as she spoke. Something is off about her. Kazami looked at Watase and spoke. Captain, may I ask you just one question? What is it? This mystery's been on my mind for a long time. Captain, why was it that you went down to the basement at 6:42 AM, shortly after this accident occurred? I told you guys because Dojima and Hiyama called for me on their radio. So what you're saying is that your radio receives transmissions, could receive transmissions then, correct? But you know, I personally tried to reach you on the radio just a few minutes before that. 6:42 AM. That was one of the memories Natsuhiko casually bestowed upon Watase when falsifying his memories. Has Miss Tachibana been doubting Watase this entire time? That doubt wasn't unwarranted. The loss and imperfect recovery of memory, hallucinations, falsehoods, a pistol. Watase could answer none of these lingering questions of hers. Watase was extremely suspicious. But for Kazami to have followed him this far was probably a testament to how much he trusted him. But that was the last thing Sally said. Must have been, "You think you could trick me after you shot Natsuhiko?" That last statement must have been enough to shatter Kazami's trust. I tried as hard as I could to trust you. I've trusted you for as long as I can remember. But... Tachibana? I just can't do it, Watase. If what Miss Sanamiya said was true, then everything fits. When I think of this facility's true nature and the past year, I realize there's only one answer. What's going on? At that moment, Natsuhiko felt an intense uneasiness. You can understand why Kazami would doubt Watase, but the extent of her doubt was blatantly abnormal. If you're a murderer, then the least I can do is preserve your good name. As Kazami kept muttering incomprehensibly, she reached out for a nearby fire extinguisher. You went down the wrong path, Watase. Now it's time for you to receive your punishment for that choice. And a second later... Kazami swung the fire extinguisher horizontally, but Watase quickly blocked it with his arm. Stop! Why are you doing this? Watase, I'm so sorry, Watase. This is the only thing I can do for you now. With one look in her eyes, Natsuhiko was convinced. She's the same. She's the same as Mr. Ukita and Jun. At that moment, Watase quickly thrust Kazami away. I always thought that was weird too. Is there something like messing with their heads, turning them crazy? Is it the WX particles? She fell on the staircase with the fire extinguisher still in hand. Watase took the opportunity to carry Natsuhiko's body down to the second basement level and rush out of the stairwell. Damn it, what the hell's going on? Thoughts raced through Natsuhiko and as Watase shouted that, what in the world is going on? Why is everyone acting crazy all of a sudden? Even Miss Tachibana. Something suspicious was happening, but Natsuhiko didn't know what. By the time he reached Area N, Watase was already tattered and beaten. Kazami had struck him in the arm with the fire extinguisher. Jun appeared, and he had to run away. Ukita shot him in the flank. And once he finally arrived in Area N, what was waiting for him was abnormal symptoms, including skin discomfort, headache, and convulsing fingertips. No, Watase, it's too dangerous here. The manual they'd found in the engine room even had this to say: 8,000 microsieverts up, unconsciousness. The contamination level in Area N was far beyond that. If the contamination level's that high, then the device inside here must really be that WX particle amplifier. Is this device the reason for the facility's microsieverts values that have been increasing? Once Natsuhiko was convinced of that connection, a sudden realization hit him. AD, Procyon, Contaminated Zone, WX particle amplifier, WX particle, BC's third ability. The scattered puzzle pieces inside Natsuhiko rapidly connected into one. I got it. I've solved one of the mysteries. The answer he finally found was the true nature of the facility. I've been connected to Watase for 6 hours using BC's third ability, but whenever he administered AD, that connection would halt. And when he entered a contaminated zone, it would resume. So in other words, the AD that Labo made is a drug that inhibits my BC abilities. The WX particles spreading around Labo have the opposite effect as AD. They augment my BC abilities. And in the dead center of the high security Labo was a WX particle amplifier. And the Procyon, the device that measured WX particles, was built by Labo as well. The Procyon, the AD, the WX particles, everything relates to BC. Which means Labo... Rokume City's 7 Wonders number 1. Labo does not conduct nuclear power research, they conduct arms production. They research arms production. And other dangerous national matters. Labo does not conduct nuclear power research, other dangerous national matters. So Labo really isn't a nuclear power research lab at all. It's a facility for researching WX particles and BC abilities. Natsuhiko finally arrived at that truth, and at that very same moment, Kazami appeared on the other side of the still open gate. The fire extinguisher was still in her hands. Watase panicked and operated the terminal. The gates quickly began to close, but before he could finish, Kazami slipped through and swung the fire extinguisher down on Watase's head. Sparks filled his vision and his body shook left and right. But Watase mustered the last of his strength and pushed Kazami right out of Area N. Watase? Watase! Open the gate, Watase! Kazami's voice drowned out behind the gate. And at the same time, Watase crumpled down, sending Natsuhiko's body flinging off him. As Watase's consciousness faded, several questions flickered in his mind. Why did he lose his memory? Why were the 9 of them locked inside the facility? Why did that survivor keep running away from him? Why was there no fire and no nuclear reactor in Area N, but rather Natsuhiko on the brink of death instead? Why did Yuri's body disappear? Several answers to those questions lay within Natsuhiko. The amnesia and the contradictory memories were caused by Natsuhiko's abilities. The reason Sally ran away from Watase was obviously because he was a terrorist. The reason Yuri ran away was probably the same. And the reason why there was no fires and no nuclear reactor in Area N was because the facility researched WX particles and BC. But even Natsuhiko had 6 lingering questions of his own that he could not solve. Who conducted the murders inside Labo? Who was the girl killed in front of the cargo lift? Who was the girl called Yuri that looked exactly like the Yuri he knew? Who took away the stockpile of AD? Where did Enna go? But what he understood the least was what made them crazy. Why did these 3 people go mad one by one? He thought he heard someone whisper, "Try to remember." It felt like a voice rising up from Natsuhiko's heart of hearts. That's right, try to remember. The answer has to be something I've seen so far. The answer to the unsolved mystery. With that thought in mind, Natsuhiko recalled Orokume City's 7 Wonders. Orokume City's 7 Wonders number 5. If a communicator uses BC without knowing the proper way, they will eventually turn into a mind-broken monster. Orokume City's 7 Wonders number 6. Monstified people are captured by a secret task force working under Orokume City's security department and are imprisoned underground. Orokume City's 7 Wonders number 7. If a communicator excessively misuses BC, their target's mind will eventually break. Natsuhiko couldn't understand why he was suddenly reminded of all these wonders. However, if all of those are true, then if there's a monster locked underground here causing everyone's mind to go crazy, then it was too out there to call it a theory. It was nothing more than a simple guess. But Natsuhiko thought, Area Zero, that's Area Zero. See, they keep talking about Area Zero in notes and stuff, but we've never been there. I don't know if monsters like that exist. So it's a person. Is it Yuri? I don't know who's at fault here. I don't know what the hell is going on here. He knew that he couldn't let it end like this. There was no way he could leave things as is without understanding a thing. Then I'll investigate. I'll find out exactly what's going on here. I can't leave everything to Watase anymore. I can't remain a mere spectator. I'm throwing down the gauntlet. If the two of us work together, we can do this. The moment he made his brave decision, Natsuhiko's consciousness returned to his body. But we're full of holes, dude. His own 5 senses returned. His sight, his hearing, his touch, his smell, his taste, and his pain all awoke inside his body. And immediately afterwards, he felt a burning pain singe through his bullet holes. It was genuine pain that he had to grit his teeth to bear. Yeah. But Natsuhiko bore the pain nonetheless. He focused all the strength he could muster into his heavy limbs. And slowly but surely, he stood up. The blood transfusion needle fell out. But he paid no heed to that, and stepped up to Watase. When he heard Natsuhiko's footsteps, Watase peeled his heavy eyes open. Get up. None of this is over yet. 6 towering devices stood in the vast area N. As they made their mechanical whirring sounds, an intense, resolute voice shook the cool air. You and I will save everyone from this nightmare. Right then, in Labo's basement floors. You're not getting away, you damn traitor. I will ensure that you get your just desserts. A man spat out repeated words of resentment. Sacrifice your life? Why? A woman wandered around in search of another man. I gotta kill him. I gotta do it. A young rescue worker hardened her heart with a murderous intent. Yes, I understand I'm the only one who can save him after all. A skilled rescue worker exchanged words with someone. A girl who had fainted got up with vacant eyes. Natsuhiko. And a girl called out a boy's name. She should be safe though. She went up to the top, but not a single one of them, the 9 noticed. That further underground, inside a cage constructed beneath their feet, the final bomb full of malice was hiding, lying in wait for time to come. And as if time were repeating itself, the girl who supposedly died 9 years ago slowly awoke. Where am I? She soon remembered. what had happened to her and why she'd been asleep there. Hikiden? Her voice trembled in the darkness. Hikiden, save me! I knew it! There were 3 more hours until the lockdown was lifted. Her wish would soon pass through the darkness. Wait, no, what? I need more information. There's still answers.
少年はすべての謎を解くため、傷だらけの体で立ち上がった。力尽き倒れた男は再び目覚めよと呼ぶ声を聞いた。混迷を極める状況下で2人は力を合わせることを決意した。覚醒する少年の真の能力、ついに蘇る男の記憶、知り得なかった9人の過去と明らかになる真の敵、彼らの運命を歪ませた怪物の正体と、闇の中で9つの信念が交錯するとき、彼らは再び命の選択を迫られる。ルートダブル、ビフォアクライム、アフターデイズ。ルートダブル、誰かのために全てを壊す。
There's another route double.
全てのために誰かを殺すのか。
Oh man, I'm excited. Oh shit, alright, well we're gonna wrap this one up here. And in the next one we're gonna jump into route double, I suppose. Route double. So much I need to know still. Man, this would make a great anime, wouldn't it? Is this an anime as well? That would be real cool. Anyway, hope you guys enjoyed it. Thanks for watching. Thanks for hanging out for me, and I'll see you in the next one.